I became a reader because I was an instinctive reader. And then what happened was everything I was doing in the mainstream dropped away. And I didn't really want to become a reader. But so I wrote a book recently, and in the book I'm explaining the process of becoming a reader. And I'm very careful about validating everything. And actually it's now my great joy to be a reader, because I hope I help people, or I facilitate reaching of the potential, and I love that engagement. So I think sometimes when people come, it's to have things reflected back, or if they're in two minds about something, if they have a dilemma. But then again, it's probably the same as in counselling. I'm not trained to be counselling, it's to empower the person to reach their own path and their own conclusion. So sometimes it's two paths, and either path is a good path. In the Kabbalah, you're not really meant to do any of this stuff till you're 40. And my angel was trying to contact me for quite a long time, and I was terrified of her. I was really, really afraid. Okay, and I would just like, oh, I don't believe in it, don't believe in this, don't believe in that. I'm a socialist, I'm a feminist, la la la, I don't believe in any of that, la la la. And what happened was I was getting very tired because I was training to be a healer. Well, no, I was getting very tired because I was an instinctive healer. And so people would come along and they'd talk with me, and then I'd go to bed for 3 or 4 days, completely exhausted, and they would be fine. So I went to train to be a healer. And while I was training to be a healer, we did a meditation. I saw my angel stretching above me as a child. And then I started to be able to access her. But first of all, I was accessing her through dreams. I wouldn't listen. It took a long time for me to trust it. And I think I had to go through quite a lot of spiritual development myself to have enough compassion to work with people, which involved quite a painful path in some ways. But yeah. So I connected once with Michael, who's the angel of our age, Archangel Michael, and he's around guardianship. Sometimes that dream I had, when I went to that website where my friend had said you should play a different tune, play Funky Monkey. I put Funky Monkey into the internet, and it was a site that said on it, Michael Angel. And it was about surrendering to angels. And Jophiel, there's a whole range of angels, and people... Well, I have my own one that I see as Celestial Bell, which I thought was a ridiculous name. When she told me it was Celestial Bell, I just thought it was crazy. But anyway, I think they come in a way that you find accessible. I saw her, bearing in mind all the terror that it took me. So I saw her as a tall, Art Nouveau-looking angel, very tall and green. That's how I saw her. But I don't think there's any right or wrong way. And I think the other thing, what I'm saying about terror, is that she always works the highest good. I'm not terrorized by her. I was just afraid of connecting to spirit. But if you still need to use discernment with connection and use your body to know that this is good, this is right, this is pure, this is helping me be my best self. Yeah? If that makes sense. Okay, management, and I'm going to put it around the acronym piece. So I'm talking about the process of giving a good, clean reading that is useful for people, because it's of the responsibility that a reader has in terms of how it can impact on the life of people, and the need to be ethical and to make sure that what's coming through is truthful. So when I was a project manager, I used this to describe the process of a project. So plan, envisage, act, celebrate and close, and evaluate. And so that's what happens as I give a reading. So the first part of the reading really is inviting people to the table, and it's an act of collaboration and empowerment. I'm wanting people to tell me why they are here and how they'd like to feel when they leave, because it's not about saying, well, actually, you're going to walk away from here and you're going to go and win £50 million, or next week your lover is going to go out of your life forever. It's nothing scary. It's saying to people, how would you like it to be? What do you envisage? And behind that reading, I always have in my mind, I have the words of Marianne Williamson, and she was quoted by Nelson Mandela, and everyone thinks it's his speech rather, but it's actually her speech, and it is the most beautiful speech. She said, or quote, she says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So that is a guiding light for me for every single reading. I have that in the back of my mind. And so I'm then asking the client, how do they most wish to shine? What is it? What barriers do they have? And I want to evaluate it because of the investment of the time and the money. So I ask people, say, out of 10, so what at the end of this, how do you want to feel? Do you want to feel more courageous? What is it? So it takes some time. And then I'm also laying the parameters of what not to do and saying to people, use your body, because if I'm suggesting an energy exercise and it's not right, then say no. It's your reading. So the first session is the planning. And the second section is envisioning. And in terms of the envisioning, I have to say, how do I get out of the way? Can I get out of the way of the reading so that it comes through very cleanly? Because I don't want myself to be in the way of it. And I'm asking people then not to comment while it's happening, to be quiet, because I have to really go in deeply to have it. I'll ask my angel which work needs doing for each person, and she will give a list. And I'll agree with each client what the list is and whether or not how they feel about it, and which order. And it's a problem because mostly people always want the reading first because they're desperate for the reading. And of course I would be too. I'm desperate for the reading because it's very individualised and, what's it going to say about you? But actually I'm often saying, please can you have the reading afterwards, because some of the energy work will clear away some of the clouds, so then the reading will come through clearer. The other thing in terms of the act part of this process here is that how do I release my own projections? And I've got a case study for you here of one reading that I thought you might like to hear about. So I'm just going to pass, you've all got a piece of pen and paper. Maybe the people who came a bit late don't have, but if you could, and I channeled it just as that, and bearing in mind what I was saying before about my kind of addiction to Marianne Williamson's quote about everyone should be shining. I'm going to pass it around, have a look. And then the exercise is, if you saw that as a reader and you channeled that, what would you think it meant? If you wanted to just write down, just from the top of your head, there's no right or no wrong with this. It's just a little exercise. If you saw it, what would you think that meant to you? What would it mean to you? If you were a reader and you channeled that word and put it in a heart, and just write it down quickly, and I'll talk to you about what happened. I'll explain what actually did happen with that client. I channeled the word shining, and I automatically thought, because I'm so keen on the whole thing about shining to reach your full potential, I thought it meant potential. Okay, but I drew back in the reading and I asked her, what does that mean to you? And she said, I don't know what it means to me. Okay, so we carried on with the reading, and then I got some correspondence. This was a person who wanted to be more confident, and she's given me permission to use her as a case study. The other thing I didn't mention was that it's always confidential, unless people give permission. It's a very sacred act, giving a reading. You don't kind of go around saying, oh, do you know what so-and-so said? And I had this fascinating person, So this person gave me permission to talk about her. She is a Bowden therapist. She was saying to me, I don't think I'm getting in touch with my angel. Her criteria was, I think she was 3 out of 10 confident in connecting. And during the reading, I started to see that she was working with devasses and fairies, and that what was happening, she was saying to me, her name was Joanne, not she, Joanne was saying to me, it feels as though I'm not getting a clear message. How can I strengthen it? And what it was actually how she was hearing it was accurate, because she was working with devasses and nature spirits, and they were very on the edge of her consciousness. And I suggested to her that she use some work that another reader here, Scylla, produces, which is a Devas cards. So I suggested that she went away and used the Devas cards to connect. And then again, I was thinking it was a bit unethical, because I don't always want to tell people to go and spend money when they're having a reading, in case they think they're in a vulnerable position. And I'm like saying, oh, go and spend £1 million or something. But actually, my duty is to have a clean reading. So she went away and she got the Devas cards, and then she came back to me and she sent me an email which said, I just wanted to ask you something. When I looked at Scylla's website, she mentioned working with devasses and referred to them as the shining ones. Have you seen that on her site? And I wondered if it came from your angel or your subconscious. I hadn't ever looked at her site. She just found it. So she then said, thank you for the reading. It was fab to have it as it was written, and I will print and keep it forever. It has given me so much validation, courage and faith. And I must say I was amazed when you said that I work with devasses and elementals, as for many years I've been working with flower essences and communicating with the devasses within. That was something you could not have known, was totally spot on. So the skill for me, well, I was lucky because I'd managed to draw back and have it came back to me. But just I suppose I was telling it a bit back to front. But the whole point was, when I saw that, I had no idea that it meant devasses and elementals, and I didn't even. Neither did she. And it wasn't until 3 days later that she came back and said, "Well, this is what it meant." So it's just like, I suppose it's like a plea that when you get it, when you get your reading, that you have patience with it in a way to see what emerges, to see what's going to happen next. The next thing I wanted to speak to you about was celebration and closing. Okay, so this is the fourth part of the process of giving a reading, an ethical reading. And again, for project management, in a way, celebration is a closure. But I want to make sure when the person goes away from the reading that they have closed their crown chakra and that they're grounded and they're not too spacey, because all sorts of things can happen if you just walk out and you haven't done that basic piece of work. And with the celebration, normally what I'm doing, I'm speaking to the person and celebrating them. The angel will celebrate them. So this reading that came from Joanne, who I was speaking about before, she says, the angel was saying, Joanne has given me permission. She says she really has had much courage. She's a forthright and determined person, and she works to rebalance the world, repair the world, tika alam. And again, I didn't even know that client was a Jewish client, and she had that. And know there is no tension between this and having joy. Both are obtainable. And what she's talking about there is the duality that we often have within us, about being our best selves on the one hand, and then on the other hand knowing there's so much to be done, and we kind of navigate that in terms of the repair. So the angel gave this to her, and she then went on to say her barrier is one of faith and reaction to pressure, and for now drop all attempts to communicate. There's no right and no wrong. She works with nature spirits. They are on the edge of consciousness and very silent. Cards would help her, but also being in nature, and her higher intuition is her guide. So then she says, look, Joanne, you bring strength and positivity to the world. Retain your spirituality within you and seek to join with others and have fun. Taste of the delights of the world and know that you are blessed. So that part of the reading is always very important to me, because the courage that we all have with everything that we face, even just the getting up and how miraculous we are as we walk on the earth with our heart that doesn't stop beating, well, please God, it is a miracle. So each person in the reading should know that we are all a miracle. I'll pass it around for you to have a look at, okay, if you would like it. In terms of the closing bit, does everybody here know how to close their crown chakra? Do you want to do that now? Have we got time to have the exercise of how to close your crown chakra? Okay, it means loosening up a bit and working in pairs. Okay, so it goes quite off-beam. Are you sure about this? All right, so you need to find a partner. Okay, how 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 people. So rub your hands together and catch your chi energy. Okay, you got it? It makes you smile and it's delightful because, as we know, we are a miracle, so you feel this. Okay, so this top chakra, which is the silver chakra, it's the right, it has an affirmation which is the right to be in spirit, to be connected with spirit. And we open it when we're being inspired. Okay, and you can feel it on your head. So you'll feel the heat from that person. Have you got it? Can you feel that heat? Yeah? Yeah, a little breeze. Okay, so that's when we are just really working to connect and be creative. Yeah, you can swap over if you want. Okay, open. So they still have that connection, and that's why there's that sweetness around babies. Okay, but it's important. Some yogi people say you shouldn't close it all completely. You should keep a little bit of it open. But I recommend when I'm working with people, as part of the celebration of the closure, I like them to close it because I lost £1,000 worth of jewellery once when I gave someone a healing. I just left it on the bench, and then once I also didn't get home because I just went off with my crown chakra open. So I was always in trouble for this, and I've learnt to close it now. So the way you close it is you can imagine the 1,000-leaf lotus if you want. Or you can imagine that you're a Lotus sports car and you just close the sunroof because it's quicker. Okay, so if you want to swap again, feel the stream from the person, and then if that person, if that person then just stops and just says close, 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 and you imagine it's the sunroof or the 1,000-leaf lotus if you're more, and you should feel yourself immediately more in your body, and you'll feel the dip. You feel the dip? Yeah. You feel the dip. It should get cooler. You may need to come a bit higher up.
It's cool.
It's cool. And then do you feel it close? So then you feel yourself coming in your body.
Cooler.
Yeah?
That feel better for you.
Yeah? Yeah? Good. The whole point is that to show that it had a physical presence. I mean, it's like a miracle, really, that you can that there's this streaming coming from your head, and you can say close, and then you feel a dip.
You can do it for yourself.
Yeah. You just say close, 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 and if you brush off a bit and you just come back into your body, it's a useful exercise, although some people say you should just keep a bit open. Personally, I close it opens automatically anyway as you become inspired, as you dream. The last part of this, an acronym, it relates to evaluation, which you would also use if you were given any project. And as I mentioned before, I ask the client to say at the beginning, how do you feel? At the beginning of the session, how do you want to feel at the end, out of 10. So people would sometimes say they're 0 out of 10 for confidence, and sometimes they go right up. But the reason they go right up as well is because they're getting the love from the angel, so they just zoom up. But in some ways it's not always that fair of me to be asking people at the end of half an hour, because sometimes it can take many years, and I use myself as a case study because like in 2010 I had a dream, and in the dream I was told that I could play a different tune, but it would be more expensive. It was £960 to play the different tune. And what the dream was relating to was moving from my old way of life as a consultant to this world. And it only just dawned on me that there was a warning on that in that dream. That's 4 years later, just because it was like 916, it was like 999. It was almost led me to an emergency situation because it was such a drastic change. So I suppose one of what I'm asking is to be patient if you've had a reading, and to try and surrender to it, and also to be wary if anyone is being too directive, because it's an empowered reading and you will know the answer. The client always knows. So the woman, Joanne, when she was talking about shining, she came back to me and said, yes, that was it. Yeah, and so in this room I was demonstrating what shining means to all of you. If I'd written it, you would have found another way to shine. So that concludes my talk.